All right. Okay. So are these look like active loans? Is this your only student loan?
No, I have two. I have one with Discover and then another one through my school as well.
Okay.
Well,
So
another two through my school.
okay. So this one is federal. We see that. Is the Discover one federal or is it private?
Um, no, they're both private.
Okay. So this one is private, and then the home portal one, that one is private also? Uh-oh, you should
Um,
continue, click back in and continue. There we go.
right. And then these are, I believe they're both private.
Okay. You have two. Okay.
Mm.
Okay, so let's go back to the federal one and talk about that one first,
Okay.
because since it's public, there are some things that are going to happen to it. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, scroll down. That's good. Okay. Okay. And stop right there for a second. Are any of these consolidated?
No.
Okay. Just so you know, I'm a big fan of not consolidating your student loans. Okay,
Okay.
so that's a good thing. Now, the first thing that's important to see is that you have a Perkins loan. And according to the CARES Act, Perkins loans are not included in the freeze. So you will still need to make payments on your Perkins loan.
All right.
Okay, so click into the 5,500 one, the one that's on the top. Click into the loan details. Okay. Your interest is 0, which is very interesting. Did you just make a loan payment? Can you click on loan status history? Are you still in school?
Yes, I am.
Ah,
Well, I graduated in May technically.
okay. All right. Okay. So go back to loan details. That's why your interest is 0, because you're still in school. Now, this is very good.
Mm.
So this is a subsidized loan, a direct subsidized loan, which means that the federal government is going to pay your interest while you're still in school. Okay.
Okay.
So go back out to your list of loans again and click on an unsubsidized loan. Yeah, click on that one. See the interest that's accruing?
Yes.
That's because this is an unsubsidized loan. So let's talk about the difference between a subsidized loan and an unsubsidized loan. So when
Okay.
you are in school, the interest on a subsidized loan is paid by the federal government. It is not owed by you. When you are in an unsubsidized loan, the interest paid on that loan is paid by you, and the clock on that accrual starts the moment you get the loan. The reason
Okay.
the interest on this one is only $32 is because you just took the loan out in August.
Yes.
Okay. So every day between August and now, this loan has accrued interest, and it will continue to do so until you pay it off. Okay.
Okay.
In your unsubsidized loan, the interest does not begin until you graduate.
Okay.
Okay. Now, payments for both of these loans will not begin until you have been out of school for 6 months, but that does not mean that the interest will wait until 6 months to begin accruing.
Okay.
Okay, does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, so because you are still in school, let's go to your Perkins loan. Let's look at that one.
All right.
That one was 2016. Did you graduate and then go to grad school?
No, I was that's just the first loan I was
Oh,
included
I
in my
see. Okay,
yeah, my
click on the
my
loan
freshman year.
details. Let's look at that one. Okay, so I'm not surprised by this. A Perkins loan is a different type of student loan program that's still federal. And so what
Hmm.
that means is the interest is being paid by the federal government on this one as well.
Okay.
Okay,
And is that the
so
same sorry,
yes,
is that the same situation where I would begin paying the interest on that once I graduate though?
yes. So
Okay.
this is very important. When you set these up, you will the first thing that you will want to do is to get a job, obviously, so that you can have a better idea of what your income is going to be. The
Hmm.
next thing that you'll want to do is set up your payments for these loans. And the way this is set up, you could have a combined payment. Having a combined payment is different than having a consolidated student loan.
Okay.
Okay. When you have a combined payment, it just means that all of your student loans are the pay date for all of those loans is the same day of the month, and they take one lump sum for the payment and then disperse it amongst the loans.
Okay.
Okay. If you were to consolidate your loans, do you see how like this one is 5%? You had some that were at 4 point something, you had some other 5 point somethings and some 6 point somethings. When you
Yeah.
consolidate the loan, you are then giving up all of these smaller interest rates and you're given one consolidated interest rate, which means you will likely end up paying more interest on some of the loans than if you had left them separate.
Okay.
And it also then makes it more difficult to pay them off faster because you lose the opportunity to knock out what I call the ankle biter loans. The one, so if you were to start your repayment today, you would just knock out that $2,000 loan first, get it over with and done.
Hmm.
When you
Okay. Yeah.
consolidate, you lose that opportunity because now you have one giant $32,000 loan as opposed to a 5,500, a 6,500, a 2,000, a 3,000. Does that make sense?
Hmm.
Okay,
Yes.
so my recommendation based on what I see here is to combine the payment, but do not consolidate the loans. Okay,
Okay.
and I would do that as soon as possible because what will happen is not today, but as soon as you graduate and get settled. Because once you
Hmm.
graduate, your 6 month clock begins whether you have a job or not. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
And so the reason I say that is because then that gives you the opportunity to go back and potentially negotiate on your payment amount if you need to. If you wait until month 5 or 6, they're just going to send you a bill and tell you what your payment is, and you will then have to go back and try and negotiate, and you lose time and have the potential of missing your first payment because it's not a payment that you can afford.
Okay.
Okay, so just be proactive in that regard. Okay, all right, let's look at the Discover loans. Okay, so you've got 25,000, no payment is required because you're still in school.
Hmm.
Okay, the interest rates on these are typically higher. Okay, check this
Yes.
out. Stop right there. So you have a deferred interest balance of $1,827.74. The reason is
Hmm.
because this is not a subsidized loan. So the moment you took the loan out, the interest began accruing. Okay,
Hmm.
and you've had this loan. Where's the actual payment date? Do payment history
Uh,
for me. Okay, click on 2018 as your year. Go to the right. There we go. Okay, click on the plus sign for any one of those. Well, that doesn't really tell us a lot. That's okay though. So what you can see from here, actually, if you open up the plus sign on all of those, I'll show you a pattern. Okay, so this is both of your loans. Notice that you have not been making any dent in principal. All of the payments that you made were going to interest only. The reason for that is because you have a larger interest owed amount than the payment that you were sending. Okay?
Okay.
So every single day, including today, your interest is accruing. So every single day, you're going to owe more on your loans, all of them, than you did the day before. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So if you go back to the main screen, okay, you see your deferred interest balance on both of your loans. One is $1,827.74, and the other is $1,667.07. Regardless of the interest amount, your loans are going to accrue interest every single day. So the best way to get ahead of this loan, each of these loans, is to get rid of the deferred interest balance as quickly as possible because it's going to grow every day. Okay. And so if you, let's say graduation comes and a wonderful family member decides to bless you with $5,000. If I were you, I would take 3,000 of that and pay the interest on these two loans. Okay. Why? Because then when you set up your payments would then be able to impact your principal amount faster. If you set these loans up and based on the balances, I would say your loan payments for these loans would be set at somewhere between $50 and $100 a month for 10 years. At $50 a month, it's going to be years before you get to your loan balance because $50 a month, as you saw in your history, was not, it's not enough to turn this larger outstanding interest balance. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So your goal in this scenario is to get rid of the outstanding interest as quickly as possible so that you can then have the opportunity for some of your payment to go towards principal.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So let's look at your last set of loans. And then I want to come back to the Discover loans in a second, but I want to make sure we touch on all of them.
Okay.
Oh. And you said you are scheduled to graduate in May?
Yes.
Okay, so June, July, August, September, October, November, your payments will begin either in November or December for all of these loans.
Yes. Okay.
Okay. Where is Widener?
Chester, Pennsylvania.
Okay. All right, so let's see, 5,500. And then, the current balance is, got it. You have two loans. Okay. I saw 16,000 and then I saw 5,500. I was trying to figure that out. Okay, so you have two loans, 5,500 and 10,500. These are also subsidized. Oh, scroll down. Let's make sure just a little bit. These are also subsidized because your original loan amount is the same as your current balance. Okay, so because these loans came from the university is choosing not to charge you interest until you graduate. Okay, so click on loan balance details. Let's see what that says. Okay, interest rate, 5%, not bad. Okay, oh, let's talk about this. So when you see where it says capitalized interest and capitalized fees, so once you
Yes.
graduate, the capitalized interest, if it were an unsubsidized loan, then the capitalized interest would be the interest that was accruing while you were in school. And then once you graduate, that amount will be added to the loan. Okay, they have to
Okay.
keep that separate. So this is, and as you can see, every student loan servicer has a different view on their website. Some of them show you more details than others. This is a good website. I've seen some really bad ones, but this one
Hmm.
gives you enough information to see where you are. So your current payoff, if you look over to the right, your current payoff would be $10,510.04. That $10.04 would be the interest that you would have to pay if you chose to pay it off today. So they are
Okay.
calculating the interest. They're just not showing you the interest because you're in school.
Okay.
Okay, so at 5% though, this is not a bad loan. So again, because you have two loans here, I would not consolidate these loans. Some people are tempted to consolidate loans because they have a hard time figuring out how to manage the multiple payments. In
Hmm.
your scenario, I would see 3 payments, a payment to this service, to each of your servicers. Okay,
Hmm.
so you would want to make sure um, that you set them up as individual payments and not a consolidated loan.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Now go back to the Discover loans for me. Okay. Now these are the most expensive loans, and that's not uncommon because they're private. Technically, the Widemer loans are private, but they are really school loans, which give them a little bit more flexibility than a lot of most private banks. If you were to do a consolidation, this is where I would do it. Okay. And the reason is because your interest rates are so much higher than the rest of them. I'm still
Okay.
not a fan, however, of consolidating because you would go from an $11,667 and $13,827 loans that could be managed a little more efficiently to one
Hmm.
much larger $25,000 loan.
Okay.
Okay, so even though the interest rates are a little bit higher here, um, I would make the decision carefully before I consolidate it. There is one other factor that I would consider that may cause you to want to refinance, and that is the
Okay.
variable interest rate. Notice your interest rate on both of these is variable. Do you see that?
Hmm. Yes.
Which means over time, they can change your interest rate. And so you must stay on top of what your interest rate is.
Okay.
Okay. And so another reason you may want to consider consolidating would be to get into a fixed interest rate. If you
Okay.
are if you're going to consolidate, you would want to consolidate into a federal program. Okay, so basically what that would mean is the federal government, you would go to the Department of Education website, the same website that's in that link that I sent you with this meeting
Hmm.
invite. So once you graduate, you would go there and you would begin to have a conversation with them about them consolidating your private loans. Okay.
Okay.
And the reason that you would do it is because the interest rates are high and you have variable interest rates. The reason you would not do it is because it would consolidate into one much larger loan that would take a little bit longer for you to pay off. Okay.
Okay.
And so you really, I say it's worth having that conversation just so you can have the numbers and see what the interest rate would be and what that payment would be. But just know that if you decide not to consolidate, you will definitely need to pay attention to these interest rates. Okay,
Okay.
because they can creep up without you really knowing. And every servicer has a different process about notification. Sometimes they just send you an email, others send you a letter in the mail. So just know that it is your responsibility to stay on top of what your interest rate actually is.
Okay.
Okay? Do you have any questions?
Um, I don't believe so.
Okay. The one thing that I can share, I think I've said this before, is to be proactive. Don't wait until October, November to, certainly don't wait until November. Don't wait until October
Hmm.
to contact them, okay?
Okay.
Um, if you are fortunate and you have a job within the first 30 days and you know what your income is going to be, go ahead and set those up. If you
Okay.
don't have a job, then wait until you get a job. If you don't have a job by, say, the end of September, the first part of October, I would then at least start the conversation with them so that you know what your minimum payment is going to be.